Alden and Moody.
Hello. So yeah, my name is Alden. I do these comedy shows with my dad, and sometimes I do better, and sometimes he does better. Last time he was really bad, which is okay. Though at the airport, I did scream, "You bombed!" Which wasn't the right place to say it. Next thing I know, security guards are giving me some ice cream, giving him something called a cavity search. I understand why he was mad. I hate the dentist too. Now, I'm 13, I'm in 7th grade, and I'm enjoying it very much because I got a 96% on my last math test. My dad was so proud. We practiced all week. Cheating off Asian kids. Works. Now, I don't have to cheat my other class, sex ed. Yes, in 7th grade, we do have a sexual education class. I like the homework. It's mostly self-study. Though I am marked for a lab writer. Now, why do they call this stuff the birds and the bees? I lied. No one understands that. Why don't we call it the neighbor's dog and my aunt's leg? I understand that. That's how babies are made? Well, a little bit higher. Now, my dad, he's pushing me to play the guitar, and my mom wants me to play the flute. The difference is, my dad wants me to have sex one day. With the girl. Now, unlike some of you, I like Obama. But I have to yell at him because he's testing the heck out of us. We're testing on social studies, math, science, writing, social studies. Yeah, I took that one twice. But what's really important is I like to tell him, if you're going to test me on math, Mr. President, how about I test you on math? Because if you know how to add and subtract, we may not be in national debt. And if you're going to test me on soul studies, Mr. Brock, how would I test you? In fact, right here, I have a list of Obama foreign policy failures. If I get over it. Hopefully you know what that means, because I don't, and I think it's bad though, and yeah. I read these off while my comedy coach, Tony Visick, is such a flaming Obama fan, he wouldn't let me. He said he'd cut off the mic if I said anything, so I have to say it really fast. Tony, come on.
The mic's on, just keep going.
Now, even though I'm a teenager, I love my parents, and at my age, love equals stuff. And I told that wasn't my dad, and I felt bad. He was pretty upset. So I went up to him in a sincere, apologetic voice and said, "Dad, you know it's just a joke. I love you even though I said it's a joke, and I don't just love you for buying me things. No, I love you, and I hugged him. Guess what? It worked. I got an Xbox." And, you know, my parents, they got divorced when I was very young. When it happened, they sat me down and look, told me, look, we want you to know, it's not your fault. It is, but we're going to tell you it's not. We would never blame you, but we need to keep our fragile self-images intact, so we're laying it off on you. Now, my dad is dating, and I want him to be happy, but I have a checklist. For example, no smoking, no drinking, no kids, no foreigners, especially Canadians. I hate those guys. Now they have to be a different religion because it'd be interesting to learn about their culture and bonus holidays. I know my dad converts to Judaism and marries a Muslim Hindu. Right now with my Christian mom, I'll never have to go to school. Now, my dad did bring this one girl home. No. Her name was Diamond. And that is my time. Thank you. Oddly enough, the next one up is Greg Moody.
He's lying about that last part of the joke about the diamond thing. All right, so I'm 48 years old, and you know, I noticed that things change a little bit around the age of 45. How? When I was 45, I can tell you exactly how, but now that I'm 48, I really can't remember anymore. I think that one of the things is when I used to have conversations with my friends, they were about football or work. Now, they're about medical tests, injuries, and comparing Cialis, Viagra, and Levitra. Cialis will give you red eye, by the way. Now, I do have a son, if you haven't noticed. He's 13, and he likes to argue. Or maybe that's just my teenager. Not just my teenager, probably. Well, yeah, he likes to argue about everything just to argue. If I say it's 9 a.m., Dad, it's 9:02 a.m. If I say to somebody who's 13 years old, Dad, I'm 13 3/4. If I say up, he says down. If I say black, he says African American. If I argued like that to my mom when I was a kid, she would have hit me, or she would have told me to shut the hell up. But today, you're a bad parent if you do that. So I decided what I'm going to do is next time he argues, I'm going to charge him $1. Yeah, then double it, $2, and keep doubling it. I don't really think that's going to stop the arguing, but at least by the time he's 18, we'll have a nice college fund. Or more likely, I'll take the money, split to Mexico, and he'll be on his own. And he can argue with his new boss at Circle K. Yeah, you know, but it's worse than that. 13-year-olds are really disgusting. It's true. For instance, pooping is no longer just a necessity, but it's a long-term commitment.
That's not true.
He's on the toilet longer than a 92-year-old dad. And we gotta poke Dad every once in a while to see if he's alive still. Of course, on the other hand, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe he's not spending all that time in the bathroom pooping. He didn't want me to tell that joke. He said, Dad, masturbation jokes are not funny. But it's okay, by now he's in the bathroom with a magazine. Of course, I'm kind of worried because it may be boy's life. Yeah, I read something that the National Institute of Mental Health said that 26.2% of the population is crazy. Yeah, and that pissed me off so much when I read that I wanted to rip my clothes off and run through the streets naked and take a squirt gun to those guys for them to say that about Americans. But instead, I think I'll just run for Congress. And that's when I'll rip my clothes off and run through the room naked and shoot a super soaker at them. Because then I'll fit right in. The other thing that makes me really mad is when people listen to celebrities instead of experts. For instance, people aren't immunizing their kids now. And mumps and measles rates are going up, and it's all because in 1993, Playboy Playmate of the Year, Jenny McCarthy, said it was a bad idea to immunize your kids. Yeah, didn't Jenny look in the mirror one day and say, you know, if I have a kid, it's probably going to be stupid. She obviously didn't watch any of her MTV videos. It's not autism, it's because the kid came from her loins. She could hump Albert Einstein and Stephen Hawking in a three-way, and the kid would still turn out to be a doofus. It's because of her, because she's stupid. I would call her retarded, but that's wrong. I shouldn't call her retarded. And she wouldn't understand that word anyway. I have to travel a lot for work, and I hate it when I get on the plane and I'm sitting next to somebody who has smelly food. I was sitting next to a guy the other day who had corn nuts. He didn't have any food, he just had corn nuts. I guess that joke wasn't about food after all. And I was getting on the plane for a really long flight, and I was worried then about, who I was going to sit next to and whether I was going to be comfortable. And when I got to the seat, there was a guy, and it was a priest. And he's in the full collar and everything. So now I was worried about whether he was going to feel comfortable through the flight. So when I sat down, I just put my hand on his thigh, and that calmed us both right down. All right, well, that's my time. Thank you very much.
One more time for Greg Moody. And also for his son, Alden Moody. Greg, I don't think you're